What is going on, Panthers Nation? Carolina Dad here, your host of the Growls One Roar podcast. Hey, folks, we are back with a rapid, quickly as possible episode to detail every single player on the 90-man roster as it exists today, July 22nd, heading into training camp as veterans report. It's going to be fun. We're going to go as quickly as we can, and let's jump right in. All right, folks, we are going to go through as fast as possible. I did probably 4 or 5 videos detailing all the positions in more detail. It's probably 4 or 5 hours. I'm going to try to do this in like 30 minutes or less, maybe even shorter than that. Let's get started. We're going to take a look at the quarterbacks on the roster. Starting off, Bryce Young, Starting off, Bryce Young, your returning starter on the second year of his contract. So much to prove this year. I cannot wait to see what he looks like and if he is going to be the franchise quarterback that we've been looking for at Carolina. Andy Dalton is your reliable backup. I don't have any concerns about him making the roster, or I think he's secure as the backup. And then Jack Plummer, who is your rookie right now. So we're carrying 3. I could see a possibility where we end up getting a 4th quarterback, at least for camp. But right now, there's a lot of more pressing needs at cornerback or edge. So I think that's going to be pushed down the line. But it is nice to have those extra quarterback bodies in camp and or in the preseason once you actually get into playing games. All right. In terms of 53-man, I would think we carry 2. Lots to talk about here with running backs. We have Chuba Hubbard. Running back 1, Miles Sanders. If you followed the other video, Jonathan Brooks, who we know is now placed on the non-football related injury report. That's because the injury happened outside of football before he was in the NFL. With that said, it looks like Chuba Hubbard, Miles Sanders, 1-2 right now with the room that's growing. We have Raheem Blackshear, great returner. Rashad Penny, looking for a resurgence. And then Mike Boone. We also have Jaden Sheridan, the rookie. So out of this group, I do think, at least as it stands today, it's going to really depend on when Brooks is actually going to be fully healthy. Injury happened in November. Hard to tell right now. But I think Raheem should be competing for a spot. And then that last one with Rashad Penny, Mike Boone, if we carry 4, and Jonathan is on the PUP list heading into the season. So we have like an additional, I think it'll come down to Rashad Penny, Mike Boone. I can't wait, though, personally, to see Jaden Sheridan. Jaden Sheridan, fantastic running back out of Monmouth. Again, undrafted free agent. I'd love for him to make us, push for one of those roster spots. When we get into the tail end of the roster, again, it's all about special teams and being able to contribute there. Possibly looking at him on the practice squad if things don't pan out, for the 53. Next up, wide receiver. And again, this is in alphabetical order. Should have said that. Jalen Coker, who I mentioned in the other video, again, is on the PUP list. Not sure what the injury is. He is a rookie undrafted free agent. Dawood Davis, who was a breakout superstar in the UFL, looking to make a roster spot. And Deontay Johnson, the big acquisition from Pittsburgh in the trade with Pittsburgh, earlier this year. Can't wait to see him in camp in the connection with Bryce Young. Moving down, we have your rookie draft selection, first-round pick, Xavier Legette, rookie, again, out of University of South Carolina. Terrace Marshall Jr. is still on the roster. I do think he's one of those borderline guys, unless we just see him completely, turning things around in camp, on the borderline of being cut. Jonathan Mingo, looking for a rebound in year 2. There's going to be a lot to talk about in the 53-man roster when we get down to it. David Moore, who comes over from experience with Dave Canales in Tampa Bay as well as Seattle. He's a sleeper. He's a sleeper to watch on this roster. Rookie Sam Pinckney, another guy, undrafted free agent, put up some really good stats at Coastal Carolina. I'm excited again to see what he can do and if maybe he contributes on special teams or we get him on the practice squad. And then Cam Sims, who I mentioned, is also on the PUP list as he enters into training camp, is a guy that's kind of one of those fringe players as well. This room just grows. You get into Amir Smith-Marset, who's valuable as a punt returner. Also saw him, in some sweeps late in the season last year. Got much more involved in the offense. I do think he should be in the top 5 or 6 when we get down to the final roster cut. Mike Strachan has kind of taken a backseat as we've made a lot of noise and brought on a lot of new people, but showed sparks at points in the season last year. And then the reliable Adam Thielen, which we won't talk about projections of stats or anything like that today, but I do think is going to see a little bit of drop in production heading into the year. Wide receivers, done. Offensive line. We've got Austin Corbett, who is your starting center as it is today. No, we didn't draft a center. We didn't sign one in free agency, but we did bring in undrafted free agent Andrew Rame, center out of Oklahoma, the only player on the roster to actually play center. So there you go. I think he is one to watch. I'm not saying that based off his game, but just based off of the fact he's played, and I think he'll get more snaps as the backup. Brady Christensen, who we also know has been taking backups. I feel like he's safe no matter what. He will have a backup role. J.D. Lorenzo, who I think, looking at the guard position, he's going to be a fringe player because, again, carrying like 9 offensive linemen, the room gets full very quickly. Big acquisitions in the interior of that offensive line with Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis. Can't wait to see them in camp and what they're able to provide for Bryce Young. Cade Mays, who has not been talked about a lot, I do think he's on the bubble, as well as Chandler Zavala, who unfortunately just had a bad year last year and injuries. Got thrown in the fire quite a few times, but didn't show us a lot when he was healthy. Rookie Jeremiah Crawford, he is an undrafted free agent out of the University of Tennessee. Pretty big size. Don't know too much about him. And another Christian Duffy, again, undrafted free agent out of Kansas State. Ike Ekwonu, we could talk all day about him. He is looking for a major rebound in year 3. And then another tackle in Ricky Lee. So likely practice squad guy potentially making the roster on the end there. Taylor Moton, steady Taylor, solid veteran. Yash Nijman, hey, fun fact, he's the highest paid player on the team. Yash, who I mentioned, is on the PUP list right now. I hope he gets back healthy because I do think he can be a very good backup swing tackle and or apply a little bit of pressure to Icky. And then Badaro Traore, who spent a little bit of time around the league, is the last tackle on the roster there. Don't know too much about him either. Tight ends. Do you have a healthy tight end room? Jordan Matthews getting listed as a tight end. I know he's played some receiver. Rookie Jatavian Sanders, who I'm excited to see get touches, get into camp. I don't think he's going to be a starter, but can't wait to see him. And then Steven Sullivan, he's another guy that showed flashes at times last year, but it could be kind of harder to make this roster. And your trusty Ian Thomas blocking tight end, as well as Tommy Trimble, although Ian showed flashes from what I heard in earlier parts of the year in minicamp and OTAs. And Tommy Trimble, who I think is tight end 1. We'll flip the defense, and sorry, defensive guys, I gave you the standard headshots that were available versus the nice flashy picture when I created this. But we'll talk about cornerbacks. We have Willie Drew, undrafted free agent. Troy Hill, veteran cornerback. J.C. Horn, who we hope stays healthy. Dane Jackson, who is competing for cornerback 2 right now. Lamar Jackson, who who saw a little bit, was on the practice squad last year. Deshaun Jameson, who I think should see, significant playing time in the preseason. And Shaw Smith-Wade. And if I look at this list, it did not include DiCaprio Bootle. I don't know why we don't have Bootle on the list, but Bootle is also a cornerback that we want to, keep an eye out on and do think he has a good chance to make the roster. Defensive end, Derek Brown, all-star, all-pro, all whatever you want to call him, new contract. He is the centerpiece of this defense heading into the year. Kenny Dyson is your undrafted free agent rookie. Derek McLendon, undrafted free agent rookie as well. We have LeBrian Ray and Ashawn Robinson rounding it out. So that's going to be quite a tandem with Derek Brown and Ashawn Robinson, and then LeBrian Ray in the rotation on the offensive line. We have 2 undrafted free agent rookies in Ulumu El Popo Amave, and then the rookie 6th-round draft pick, Jaden Crumity. Super senior. I look forward to seeing what he can do because it's a decent rotation to go into. And we have TJ Smith. Sorry, looking at my list. TJ Smith, Nick Thurman. TJ Smith with a little bit of experience, Nick Thurman, and then Shy Tuttle. Again, Shy Tuttle also should see pretty good playing time as well. Inside linebacker, ooh, got some work, our work cut out here, but I feel confident in this group. Michael Barrett, 7th-round pick out of the University of Michigan. I do think he's going to turn some heads. At least I hope he turns some heads in camp. I think he's a really good pick for the Panthers. Claude Cherilus, Tay Davis, who specialized in a little bit of special teams. I think he has a decent shot to make the roster. Cam Gill, who's also bounced around a little bit in the league. Josie Jewell, who looks to be starting opposite of Shaq Thompson. Jackson Mitchell out of Connecticut. He's an undrafted rookie. Shaq Thompson, who I mentioned. Trevor Wallace, who is your 3rd-round pick out of University of Kentucky. And then Chandler Wooten. Outside linebacker, I've talked about, the need here. We're going to need some people to step up. Amari Barno on the PUP list, covering from ACL. Clavon Chasen, who's making statements that, hey, he's ready to be this, a great football player and contribute here in Carolina. He knows how to do that. I hope so. Jadeveon Clowney, who I think is one of the other solid pieces of this defense, but I don't think we're going to see the sack production that we did when he was in Baltimore. Baltimore was just surrounded by a lot of talent and a great defense. TJ Johnson, who likely will be seeing a lot of playing time, more of a run stopper, edge setter, but I do think we're going to see more of him. I'd love to see him be able to pass rush and get to the quarterback. We get into Iku Leota entering year 2, Luigi Villain, and lastly, DJ Wonham, like I said, well, if you followed the other video, who is currently on the PUP list, battling the quad injury. Edge, outside linebacker, lots to be worried about, and I think that's why the Panthers are bringing in so many folks. We rounded out with safeties, Alex Cook, who saw a little bit of playing time at the end of the last year, Sam Franklin Jr., who's great on special teams, filling in when needed, Jordan Fuller. Big signing in the offseason at the safety position with the loss of Von Bell, Jamie Robinson. Hey, we talk about all these safeties. It's going to be tough for some of these guys to make it, and Jamie could be on the fringe of this 53-man roster. Nick Scott, another nice pickup in the offseason, and Xavier Woods, who I think will be a starter. And then 2 undrafted free agent rookies in Clayton Isbell and Damani Richardson. Can't complete this 90-man breakdown without special teams. We'll talk about the 2 guys that are here to stay, nowhere to go. JJ Jensen, long snapper, and Johnny Hecker, your punter. And the last headline heading into camp right now is going to be the battle between Harrison Mevis and Eddie Pinheiro, who will be the kicker in Carolina. Man, I did a 90-man breakdown in 15 minutes. I can't believe that. Like I said, folks, I'll get a much more detailed analysis of this roster. I've done it already, but after, getting to camp, things kind of settle down. And hey, that'll do it, folks. This is Carolina Dad. Y'all have a good one.